Hello, hello, hello. Hi, everyone. Hello, everyone. Come on in, say hello, come on in, say hello, come on in. Hello, hello, hello. Hi, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Happy first day. First full day of the new administration. So that's why we're coming on a little bit earlier, so that we can get as many questions answered as possible. Talk about what we need to talk about and get as many questions answered as possible. There's a lot that has happened in the last 24 hours. It is almost, hello, Mr. Abu. Mr. Abu, any update on your end? Thank you, Ms. Cora. May God give us hope each and every time. Let's just, yeah. Well, hi, happy Tuesday, y'all. Happy Tuesday. Can y'all hear me on Facebook? And because now I gotta check, and like on all platforms, can y'all hear me? Confirm that you can hear me. Okay. Let me put this up a little bit for. We got quite a bit to talk about. Hello, Miss Sanctuary. It's been it's like a rapid fire 24 hours kind of thing, but God is still God. That's the thing. God still remains God. He's still in charge of everything. The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. Each and every one of us on here, we're only here by privilege, but because of God's privilege. So there's nothing anyone can do or undo to make life miserable for the children of God. The Bible says 1,000 will fall at my side, 10,000 by my right side, but they shall not come near me. So, but at the same time, there's nowhere in the Bible that says we should not be wise and be proactive. So let's talk immigration. Hi, everyone. This is Attorney 𝒊𝒎𝒎𝒊𝒈𝒓𝒂𝒏𝒕, immigration attorney based in Alabama, representing immigration clients in all 50 states. I know we've got quite a bit. Questions, anxiety, worry. But the one thing we're not going to let anyone let us live in is to live in fear. We ain't going to live in fear. People are like, "Sister Loyal, is it for anyway?" That's what, once upon a time, I didn't have papers, right? I mean, I was never out of status in my own case, but not knowing, not having stability, not knowing, whether you're going to get permanency or not. And being, I was telling someone earlier today, one of the consults I had, that it's a different kind of representation when you know what someone feels. When my ex-husband and I, we're trying to figure out how to even stay in the country. Remember, we thought we were going to, because that's what brought us to the South. We lived in Chicago, but my ex-husband is a physician. So we had to come to rural health to serve out a waiver on J1, J2 waivers, respectively. When I tell you, I've been on all kind of visas. And planning your life to move to a particular place, which I was like, you know what, how in God's name am I going to live amongst everyone that doesn't look like me? Like, we were going to be the only people with our skin color. But we needed to go somewhere because of the darn visa. These my eyes are seeing. And for them to pull, to change their mind on you. And luckily for you, God allowed you to still be within your grace period after your visa had expired. Nothing like that kind of heartache and anxiety. And you have a newborn child. Well, Esther was 16 months, thereabout. And we had to find someone within 2 months. So y'all, it's so it is, being there, done that. But the one thing I remember is we used to, pray together then that we can't let fear direct what we're, dictate what we're going to do. And so that's the same thing I'm saying. You cannot let fear rule your life. But at the same time, you've got to be proactive. So let's talk immigration, y'all. Can everyone hear me on YouTube and Facebook? Let's make sure audio is fine. Instagram, TikTok. Hi, everyone. Well, thank God TikTok is back. It was gone for like 2 minutes, 12 seconds, something. And somehow the person who was not yet sworn in as a president brought it back. And all of a sudden TikTok is back. But listen, we ain't complaining. That's how we can get information across. Anybody, Facebook, YouTube, can you confirm that you can hear me okay? Y'all can hear me okay on Instagram, TikTok? Okay, good. Thank you. We'll get to as many questions as we possibly can, but I want to run through some things that y'all should know, not so that you are afraid, but so that, thank you. Hello, Miss Christiana. Oh, did you see the updates on your cases acknowledging that they had received the medicals for all 4 of you? Because it was like, how many of them? I can't count. Yeah. Someone was like, how'd you remember everyone's case? I don't know. I don't know. I just do. Like, there's no client of mine that can text me now and say, hey, what is the status of my case? I'll tell you, even without looking at it, unless I haven't, I don't know. It's just, it's grace. But anyway, okay, great. Let's talk immigration, y'all. So please subscribe to YouTube channel, follow, like, share, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok at Olaleye Immigration. Welcome to a new administration. Perfect. Thank you. It's going to be a long ride on those next 4 years, but God is still going to be in control. The one thing I know for sure is there's nothing anyone can do that's going to make, alter what your destiny is. But you also have to make sure you are taking steps to secure yourself in this country, filing what you can, and not just, this is not, Biden administration is over. There's a new sheriff in time. You've got to do, thank you, Mr. Nesnak. You've got to do what you've got to do, whether you like it or not. If you need to contact our office, our number is 334-341-4475. Visit our website at 𝒊𝒎𝒎𝒊𝒈𝒓𝒂𝒏𝒕. We will try, and now we'll try, because this, I still have my mom and still practice. So, but as this information, as they come in, we're trying to update information but with my social media, given that the fact that we put out legal information, I still have to review them before our social media lady posts them. So, for the most part, I have to review unless it's something that's just straightforward. But we will try to update you with information as soon as we get them. Because for me, I also want to make sure that it is verified before anything is posted. So unless you've been living under a rock, we have a new president. And the thing is this, when you want to say FAFO, y'all already know what that means. Hey, Miss Malabi, how I think we got your package today. Those who voted, we're about to find out. Hello, Miss Salami. We're about to find out. You voted, you F around, and now we're finding out. That's what it is. I think it's the late Maya Angelou, God rest her soul, who says people show them who they are, believe them the first time. He already told you what he was going to do. He already said he was going to do. And he's actually, you got to give it to the guy. He is doing exactly what he said he's going to do. So there's nothing that should come as a shock. We just didn't know it was going to be rapid fire, 100 executive orders in 24 hours. Yeah, but that's what we have. Okay, so let's address the main one that has now been, the subject of a lawsuit, which is the birthright citizenship. Yep, FAF, here we are. We just all have to deal with it. Birthright citizenship. Everyone is wondering, okay, why is this a big deal? And in the first place, how in God's name did he find whatever group of lawyers to convince him that he's able to do this? So let's break down that. Let's start with that, right? First of all, it is a constitutionally protected right that every child born on U.S. soil, meaning you were born in the United States, and you're not, and you're subject to the jurisdiction thereof, and that's where we're going. Whether or not your parents are legally here, and that's been for over a century, that you automatically become a citizen. There was a landmark case. I want to see if I can find that case. I think it was 𝒊𝒒𝒐𝒊𝒒𝒂𝒏𝒕 back in, this case was back in the 19th century, I believe. long story short, this was a case that had to do with a Chinese guy who was born in the United States, right? To Chinese parents. And there was this act that those who were from China were not subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. But he was born here. His parents relocated back to China, and then he was living in California, and then he went to visit his parents, came back to the United States. He was denied entry. Long story short, he sued the United States government, and on the basis that they're denying him his constitutional right of being a citizen, regardless of whether or not his parents were subject to the U.S. jurisdiction. And he went all the way to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court, it was a divided decision, but the Supreme Court sided with him and said, regardless of whether or not his parents were subject to the jurisdiction of the United States, because he was born on U.S. ground, U.S. soil, he was not a Native American, and he was subject to, he was, as a born U.S. citizen, he was the one subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. He was legally a United States citizen by birth. That was a landmark case back then, way back years ago. Now, if I'm going to try to share my screen. So that my screen, that was Wong Kim Ark case, right? In the 1900s. This is the same argument that the Trump administration is now trying to use to justify this executive order. So stay with me now. Just trying to make you understand where this reason is coming from, because the truth of the matter is this. There is no, and that doesn't change, there is no executive order that can amend the Constitution. Let me be very clear and say that again. An executive order cannot amend the Constitution. That is set in the laws. The Constitution can only, the U.S. Constitution can only be amended by 2/3 of the Congress and 3/4 of the states who have to ratify it. That's how you amend the Constitution, not the president. But their argument is this. They're saying they're not trying to amend the Constitution. They're trying to execute what the law already states. And let me go. Hello, Ethnic Movement. Let me share my screen. So if you're not on YouTube or Facebook, I'll tell you what it is, and you may want to just go and watch that later on. So let me see if I can pull this up real quick. I got a lot of windows under my browser, like, Auntie, hey, you close some of this. No, I can't. Okay, so let's share the screen. And here is their argument. Let me go back here. I'll share screen. Okay, let's see. So if you're on those on Facebook and YouTube, let me know that you can see my screen. So basically, for those on Instagram and TikTok, what I'm showing. Okay, thank you, Ethnic Movements. That was fast. Can you see my screen? Can you see what I'm sharing? Okay, perfect. So basically, this is the 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. You can always read it on it, but I want to emphasize what they're trying, what the argument is. Right where it says that you can see all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject. This is the part that they're trying to rely on. That clause that says subject to the jurisdiction thereof. That's what the Trump administration is trying. That's the argument they're making. What is the argument? They're saying that if you are an undocumented immigrant, you don't have papers, you're here illegally, you're not a green card holder, and you're not a citizen, neither of your parents as a mother, or a mom who is here without papers, meaning you're here illegally, or a mother who is here and has a child while on a temporary visit to the United States, meaning you are a student, you're a visitor, or some kind of temporary status, even if it is legal, but the father of the child is neither a citizen or a green card holder. So basically, none of the two of you is a green card holder or a citizen, that means that you cannot have your child that you have here should not by law have birthright citizenship because the parents are not subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. That's the argument they're hiding behind. They're saying that they're not changing the Constitution. They're not trying to change it. They're saying that the Constitution already by itself states that subject to the jurisdiction thereof, meaning the parents should be subject to the jurisdiction thereof in order for the child to now have birthright citizenship. That's their argument. So if that argument should stand, and that's the same argument the U.S. government used in this landmark case, the Wong Kim Ark case, saying even though the man was born in the United States, albeit to Chinese parents, but because the parents were not subject to the United States jurisdiction, therefore, in spite of him being born in the United States, he was not a citizen by birth. The U.S. Supreme Court says, no, that's not how it works. He was born here. Whether or not the parents are subject to a jurisdiction, he is because he was born and therefore he's a citizen. So they're basically going back and trying to, so what they're trying to do, this administration is trying to do is to make the Supreme Court, because they already know that they were going to be challenged on this policy, because it's a policy, just like the parole in place that they, those red states knocked down and said Biden was trying to change the Constitution. The same thing they're trying to do. They knew they were going to be challenged constitutionally, but that's what their argument is, that if the parents are not subject to United States jurisdiction, then the child cannot acquire citizenship by birth. Here's where, you can't see it on Instagram, is on but it's the 14th Amendment, so if you want to just go and read that. But here's where that argument can fail, and this is where it should fail. If you are saying a child can only have birthright citizenship through their parents, if at least one parent is a green card holder or a citizen, that's how they can acquire birthright citizenship, because then the parents are subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. That they can't eat their cake and have it. If you're saying people who are here temporarily or without status or not subject to the jurisdiction of the United States, then why put people in deportation? Somebody make it make sense. Why put people in deportation? Because if they're not subject to the jurisdiction of the United States, then you shouldn't have no reason to arrest them. Then you should have no authority to arrest them. If someone commits a crime that is here illegally, there is the recent bill that has just been passed by even the Senate now that he's going to sign into law, that's going to make it make it possible for ICE to for people arrested, not even convicted, arrested for any kind of crime, felony, misdemeanor, and you don't have any papers, to be transferred over to ICE. How can you do that and exercise jurisdiction over someone who is not here legally, but then claim when it comes to their child acquiring citizenship that they're not subject to jurisdiction in the United States? Make it make sense. This is the kind of cases that I love. Can you tell that I loved constitutional law in college and in law school? So you can't have it both ways. You cannot say, because if you're saying they're not subject, then don't put anyone who is here illegally in jail. Don't if they have a traffic violation, if they commit any kind of crime, then just let them go back to their country, because there's no reason why you should have authority to put them in jail, to put them in immigration court if they're not subject to your jurisdiction. Make sense? So they're trying to make that argument, but then you also want to go ahead and say that due process covers everyone. The fact that someone does not have, it's just the same way where if you take, for instance, you're here for 6 months. I'll use the state of Alabama. If you've been residing in the state of Alabama for at least 6 months, and you're going through a divorce, you become eligible to file a divorce complaint, and you're going to make yourself, you're going to subject yourself to the jurisdiction of the state of Alabama, because now you're a resident of that state. They're not going to ask you what your immigration status is. I'm not even sure that's not even going to change with this new administration. That's what they're trying to do and make the argument for. That argument of, I'm hoping, the only issue is this. So if it probably will get all the way to the Supreme Court. They're trying to make the Supreme Court revisit this landmark case and reinterpret that subject to the jurisdiction thereof, whether it applies to the child or it applies to the parents. And by God helping us, hopefully this conservative people in the Supreme Court do not say, you know what, yes, the parents have to be subject, or one of them at least has to be subject to jurisdiction of the United States. That's what was intended. Because if that happens, I don't even know what would become of this country, to be honest with you. That's what they're trying to do. So before I came on, looking at it, it's about 22 states now that have filed a lawsuit challenging this birthright citizenship policy. The policy is set to go into effect on February 19, 30 days from yesterday. If there is no injunction or anything from the federal court to stay proceedings, meaning that to stop it from being effective, then the thing is, U.S. agencies, because they're subject to the authority of the U.S. president, they would have to start carrying out this, effecting this policy, unless there is a federal court that puts an injunction on it. That is what we're hoping this lawsuit will do. And because that means that any child born as from February 19, 2025, to any parent that is, even if for those who are still going through the immigration process, meaning you have a pending case, but you don't have any status yet, then that means that the child, based on this policy, cannot acquire citizenship by birth. Ridiculous. That's what we're dealing with. So, this really is about just praying that God intervenes. That's the main policy. Another one that came that he brought up again, or they brought up again, is another executive order protecting the United States from foreign terrorists and other national security and public safety threats. That's another presidential executive order that he signed yesterday. In a nutshell, this order is going to reinstate bans on a majority of Muslim countries. I'm from Nigeria. Half of my country is Islamic. So that's what we're seeing again. And specifically in this particular order, it specifically has that the Secretary of State, who is the head of the Department of State that controls, that is over embassies, they have to thoroughly vet immigrants before they are admitted. That's the same language they used back in his first term that led to the travel ban. And so on that note, please note that I met with someone yesterday. I was telling them, because he's here, he's got his I-94 valid till June. And I told them, do not make the mistake of going back and leaving your family here. His wife is here. She's a green card holder. His kids are here. If you go back to Nigeria, it doesn't matter that you're a professional. They may not let you come back in, and they have a right, based on this executive order, to decide that you are a threat to the United States and refuse admission. So if you are here or have a family member that's here legally, or and they think, okay, they have student visa, they've got a visitor visa, and they've been coming in without any issues the last 4 years, things have changed. Specifically, this executive order is saying that they're going to reinstate the travel ban, quote unquote, that was in place as of January 19, 2021. That was his last day of his first term. The day Biden took over, he rescinded all those travel bans. So he's telling his cabinet to go back to what it used to be his last day of his office in the first term. A word is enough for the wise. If you're going here and you have an opportunity to adjust your status, do that. Do not go out. And so that's why I told all my clients in travel for the holiday, I need everybody back no later than January 19th. Like, I don't care what it is you've got to do. Come back in. Whether you've got a pending case, just come back in, because we just never know. So that's that. Let's see. Immigration raid is coming this week or next week. According to his border chief, they're going to start, most likely it's going to start in Chicago, but it's not limited to just Chicago. They're starting in the sanctuary cities, those cities where they undocumented immigrants have enjoyed protection, and that's just what's going to happen. This is not to let people be afraid. This is for you to be proactive, because if you've been sitting on the fence and you have an immigration benefit that you qualify for, and you're saying, okay, no, I just got married to my citizen spouse, I don't want a conditional green card, so I'm going to wait till it's almost 2 years before we file. Please understand, a lot can happen within that 2-year period. And if you're undocumented, this is the administration they're going to disregard what due process is. They literally can take people from the immigration rate. If you have no court date, no status, they can take you from where they find you and put you on a plane back to your home country. Please understand, they did it in the first term. They're going to do it again. And this is the last time he can run for presidency. So, all bets are up. Basically, that's what it is right now. Okay, so immigration rate, birthright citizenship, what that's all about. They've ended CBP 1 at the border. So all those appointments have been canceled. Keep in mind, all of this has happened just within 24 hours. Let's see. When it comes to the immigration rate, who are those that may be at risk the most? Number one, those who have criminal records, or you have a pending charge. It doesn't have to be a felony. It could be a misdemeanor. Keep in mind that the fact that a misdemeanor in your state can translate to a crime involving moral turpitude when it comes to immigration for federal purposes. So the fact that it's a non-prison offense does not mean it's not going to be a deportable offense based on immigration law. So those who have criminal cases or have been convicted of a crime, those who do not have any status, meaning you don't have any status, you're here undocumented, you've overstayed your visa, you're not in immigration court, you have not been issued a notice to appear in immigration court. So basically, no due process has started. There's no reason why they can't take you from where you are and put you in a plane just the way the way you're picked up back to your home country. They've done it before, and that's how that actually is not against the law, because there's no due process that you have in place. Those who are going through immigration proceedings right now are protected by due process constitutionally, because you're allowed to finish your case in court and have a final disposition, so they can't just pick you up and take you out and deport you. I'm talking of those who have no NTA, overstay, but you don't have any due process going on. Another group of people that most likely will be subject to this immigration raid and deportation are those who already have final deportation orders. If you've got a final deportation order, there's nothing that stops the U.S. government from executing that order. A lot of people were just left as is because the Biden administration was like, no big deal. This administration is going to execute those orders. That includes those who were ordered removed in absentia. An example would be you didn't get a notice that you had court, or you had an attorney who did not notify you that you had court, and the immigration judge ruled that you didn't show up and ordered you removed in your absence. So absentia order, if you have that, it's possible that they can actually execute that order. Now, if you've got withholding of removal, meaning you've been ordered removed, but they're withholding that because they haven't found somewhere a country to take you, which the law requires them to find a country to accept you, then those people I don't think will be subject to that. But we're yet to see a whole lot of things unfold in the weeks to come, and that's just what's going on. So let's see what else. Another group of people, those who were allowed to coming through the border, apply for asylum. They had a court case, the court date set. What they call catch and release. They were released and never made it back to court. This administration, if they know where you're located because you never went to court, they're just going to deport people. Those are the groups of people that we know so far, based on what we are hearing, based on what they are speculating, that will be included in this mass deportation in the beginning. It's going to be very expensive for them. And my hope is that there are some elections coming up later this year. There will be midterm elections coming up next year. My hope is that some of those Republicans that hope to be reelected by their constituents will not be foolish enough to be gullible to just go with everything because their seats will be up for stake. That's just the truth of the matter. But then again, Those who voted, and we're all finding out. That's that so far. So let's try to get, I know there, everyone's got many questions, and that's why I try to come earlier today. So I will try to answer as many questions as I possibly can. Let's start with TikTok. Disclaimer. Like I said, we're just finding out about all of this. It's still new. Even, my association, American Immigration Lawyers Association, it's still a whole lot. You have 100 executive orders. I'm still trying to read through. I just started with those that affect majority of my own audience and all that. So, but at the end of the day, let's just be prayerful. We got to pray more now than we've ever done before. That's the truth of the matter. All right. Disclaimer, general responses to your questions, nothing specific to anyone's case. If you need us to help you, I can tell you how crazy things are. I have my whole week. This is just Tuesday. My entire week of constant, I have 0 openings this week. And I think people start, scheduling for next week. I know a lot of people are afraid, but hear me when I tell you, because for me, I am consciously, especially because I'm literally just 4 weeks out from having hip surgery, 4 weeks yesterday. So whether I like it or not, I still can't do a whole lot of stuff. I still have to I have to raise my feet. I have to be, my feet have to be up because, I'm still on the watch, making sure I don't have blood clots and all that. So there's a whole lot that, because I have, my health to worry about, I cannot stress myself. But then when I have clients that are just anxious, it's hard. And so whatever way we can help you to answer whatever questions you have, even if it's getting a second opinion, you can contact us at 334-341-4475. All right. What about the babies who are going to be born after February? If their mothers, I think I just talked about that. There's nothing in the executive order that's saying if you've got a pending status. It's very clear. You're either an LPR or a citizen, or the father's an LPR or a citizen. If you don't fall within any of that, they're saying the child should not acquire birthright citizenship. This should be clear. This is being challenged in court already. We're hopeful that the federal courts are not going to interpret the subject to jurisdiction thereof and say the parents have to be subject as well. Because if you're going to do that, and that's the argument that came in, I wish they would just call me and say, hey, come, because this is the kind of argument I love. If you're going to do that, you cannot deport people. For you to deport people or put them in immigration court, then you're saying that they're subject to your jurisdiction. If you're going to arrest immigrants, undocumented immigrants, and arrest them and put them in jail, they are subject to your jurisdiction. So if you're going to have it when it comes to crimes, you cannot pick and choose when it comes to giving their child birthright citizenship. No, you can't. You can't have it both ways. But anyway, hello, Ms. Giwa. Happy Tuesday. I know I'm heated up tonight, boy. And hello, Mr. Viadu. Okay. Who the heck is this? Steve Pennington. Thank you, President Trump. And you can go live with him in the White House. And I'm sure he doesn't care about who you are. I'm really, really heated tonight. I have extremely zero tolerance for this tonight. But anyway. If you are here on any of these platforms and you're here to be a troll, it would be best for you to just leave right now. Oh, by the way, yeah, we go live every Tuesday and Thursdays, 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time Zone. Yeah. Exactly, epic movements. So they want to be subject for offenses, but not for something that's going to benefit their children. Makes no sense. Delete. And the thing is, it's not funny. But the thing is, and this person is going to be blocked. The people it's amazing these people don't have, you probably have jobs. These are kind of people that have no jobs and have so much time to be on social media. How you find it so much joy in coming and saying all kind of stuff about immigrants, but yourself, you're all immigrants. Most of these people don't look anything like Native Americans. Why do you think Native Americans have their own reservation and they're not subject to the jurisdiction of the United States? Because they were the ones who owned the land to start with. They are the owners of the land. Americans are Europeans that came and settled in someone else's country. And then you turn around and you want someone else to go back to where they're coming from. Let's all go back to where we're coming from. How about that? And let the Native Americans have their land rather than keep them on reservation and say, okay, they can have their own government. in the same country. Anyway, what can happen with the VA program? I don't think he can do some things he just cannot do anything about. And it's not something, for instance, VA program, T visa, U visa, those are not something, that's not TPS, it's not something you can just write an executive order to end. No, it's something that has to be, first of all, T visa, U visa, VA, those are bills passed by the Congress. TPS, for instance, they have to be evaluated based on the country needs. So that's not, I don't envisage that that's going to be anything that's going to happen with that. I was approved for I-130. My son's petition is married. How can I-45 has it? We can set, Miss Martha, we can set up a consultation to discuss your case. That's not a the question I answer here. Let's see. Okay. Let me try to miss anyone's question. What are the babies? Okay, I already answered that. Okay. Ban and delete your comments because I have, like I said, go somewhere else. Not tonight. Someone said, unfortunately, the standard of living in America is declining, which is not really untrue. So the brutal history of the past is coming back. It's very unfortunate. It is. Would it be hard to renew work permit while waiting on I-360 to be approved? That I don't see any reason why it should be, unless the I-360 is not approved while the work permit application is pending. Okay. Let's see. Yes, this is, so let's keep our faith open. Pray. So Ms. Avena says it's a positive platform where we share our immigration testimonies, journey. Let's keep our faith open, pray at all times. Let's not fear. Let's not let fear take over. God will indeed favor us in Jesus' name. Amen. What options do I have to bring my girlfriend from Nigeria to us? I'm a U.S. citizen. I'm still married with my ex, no longer with me. If you're still married to your ex, I think you should take care of that first, because there's nothing you can do to bring someone else as a significant other to you when you're still legally married to somebody else. So take care of that first of all, and then you can decide whether you want to marry your new girlfriend or file a fiancé visa. Okay. I-130 approved, final order of deportation. Anything as far as travel document, that's something you either want to talk to your attorney about, if you have one, or schedule a consultation with an attorney, especially during this time. A lot of housekeeping I'm having to do. I have a 5-year extension and 8 years of my driver's license, no limit time on it. I applied for Advanced at the same time. I applied for. Okay, Chinedi Chum, about, can you complete your question? Martha already made your point. Okay, then we'll talk about that. So you support illegal immigration. I'm just curious, I'm new here. EJ, let me educate you a bit. It's not about supporting illegal immigration. First of all, if you're not Native American, then everybody that came here from Europe came here illegally. There was nothing Christopher Columbus discovered. The land was already discovered. The land was already discovered by Native Americans. They were here before anyone came from Europe. Christopher Columbus and the others came because they didn't like what was going on in Europe. So if you want to talk about illegal immigration, let's talk about that. That's number one. And what do you even understand by illegal immigration? It's not about making everybody come in. People are here. The reason why we have immigration law and immigration benefits that you can apply for is because there are ways and channels by which people can become legal. That's why you file immigration applications. And if you do not get approved, then you can get another chance in immigration court. That's how this works. There's no illegal immigration that you're supporting. It's about people coming here and trying to get better life, number one. Number two, and also finding a way to be legal. That's what I do. Finding ways for people to become legalized in the country. Nobody wants to be a prisoner without being able to leave the country and just not even able to travel, go to their family members at home. So let's get some education about what illegal immigration actually means. And let's start from those who claim to have discovered another person's country through illegal immigration. I hope that helps you, EJ. It's amazing how people don't have profile pictures when they hide behind the computer. I love that. Okay, what will be the status of those babies? We're yet to see. I don't think anyone even thought about it. We're yet to see, but they're just trying to prevent them from getting citizenship. What are your thoughts about my naturalization case? New administration has been concerned and just become a citizen because we do not know what. No, there's nothing they can do. There's nothing they can. I mean, that would be, well, can't put anything past him. But you're welcome. But the thing is, unless he's going to change the laws, Immigration and Nationality Act, that's where your eligibility to become a citizen, that's where it's codified. Ability to become a green card holder if you're married to a citizen in spite of overstaying, that's where it's codified. So that's something, unless he's going to change what the law is, that's just going to be stretching it too far, going too far. But no, when it comes to, there were Black Americans here that were born here. I'm asking, do you support what the previous administration was? What was the previous administration doing? EJ, since you want to, I'm going to take you to school. What was the previous administration doing that wasn't done in the Trump era, that wasn't done in the Bush era? Tell me about that. And Black Americans were not here. The Black Americans here that were born here to who? To the slave masters that brought them here against their will? Trust me, you don't want to argue with me. Anyway, advance was denied last week, but my extension was approved for 5 years. What does that mean? I can't tell you what that means, Chineda. You've got to sit down with a lawyer to evaluate your case. Okay. Alrighty. Okay, so what will be the status? Thank you for your time. I'm not going to waste time on things that don't add any value to my life. So let me answer questions for people who are affected by this craziness. That one person thinks it can change what the Constitution is, and that's why that's the thing. And the funny thing is, you got us immigrants going through naturalization and being made to study the Constitution and study history, but then these so-called American-born or the so-called, Native Americans have no clue about the history of their own country. I'm sure this EJ, ask him what the 13th Amendment or the 5th Amendment is, probably has to go study it first. Okay, let's see. How much the Constitution fee? 30 minutes, 140, 45 minutes, 210, 1 hour, 265. But we still have a promotion on 30 minutes going on to the end of January for 115. What do you have to say about birthright? Okay, that's what we just talked about. Let's see. What if my vow is 40 months and still no response from USCIS? It's taking them 41 and a half months now. And I still checked that earlier today. So if you put in on the USCIS person times page, put in your receipt date from your receipt notice, and it will tell you the dates that your case will be considered to be outside normal processing time. Thank you. Your brain is just whatever, everything. It's a blessing, but sometimes it's like, because I don't forget anything. And because I don't forget anything, I still remember why I got divorced. Will I do it again? Yes. I don't forget things, and sometimes it keeps me up at night. So, but listen, I've been watching the news this evening. I've just even turned off the news. I'm telling you because, um, yeah, yeah. I had to come just a little bit because I know we've got a lot to talk about. I've not been able to eat since he signed executive. That's exactly what I was talking about. And someone is going to come to argue with me about you supporting illegal. What do you even know about immigration? And the funny thing is, you've got this person in office who's married to an immigrant. His mother was an immigrant. His first wife was an immigrant. Should I go on and on? The vice president's wife was born to immigrants. That means, and I don't know if her parents were legal here at the time, but for instance, when my oldest child was born, who is now 20 and an American citizen by birth, so 2004, yeah, I was still on a J2 visa, a temporary visa. So you're telling me they shouldn't, because and if I did anything then, God forbid, I would have been subject to U.S. jurisdiction. Make sense. Please go eat. God is in control. Okay, let's see. And the funny thing is, these are the people that you see on Sunday mornings in church. You pray and then you hate other humans that you have no power to create. And then some of them are the same ones who go to the Caribbeans or something, or they do mail order brides. Aren't you going to file papers for them? Or are you going to consider those brides illegal immigrants when you bring them here in B1, B2, and then because you are living in a particular, or you're from a specific race, that's different? Oh no, it's not going to be retroactive according to them. It's not according to this executive order. God forbid that it goes into effect, but it's not going to be retroactive. It's going to be effective from February 19, 2025. So that would apply to the children born after that date. So if you have a child that's born before that date, then there's no reason why they should not issue passports to those children. No, it's going to take effect 30 days from yesterday. So that's going to be February 19. Okay. Hello, Miss Sumbi. How are you? Oh, you weren't able to see that on YouTube? Wow. Well, Miss Sumbi said it was on YouTube. Okay. Instagram. No, it wasn't on Instagram, so that's fine. Let's see. Can a green card holder sponsor their spouse for a green card if the spouse has a pending asylum application in the United States? If the spouse has just a pending asylum application and they do not have a valid non-immigrant status, no, because they're not going to be considered to be in valid status. And for a green card holder to sponsor the spouse to be able to apply adjust status in the country, that spouse must be in valid non-immigrant status at the time USCIS receives your I-45 application. I'm not sure either of his parents were citizens when they had him. I have to even go do that research. He's a first generation American. Can you imagine? But anyway, but will hospitals be forced to report these cases? There's no telling what to expect. Now, keep in mind, there are some states already that hospitals are required to get information about immigration status, the red states. So this, with him being in office, is going to make it a lot easier for these people to really carry out a whole lot of stuff. Thank God we still have some blue states, and 22 as of the time of coming on live, who have filed lawsuits against to challenge this policy, ridiculous policy. I'm hoping that there's going to be lawsuits also to challenge the travel ban because it's very discriminatory. But you have to do it in the ER too. So Epic Movement is confirming in Texas that they have to do it in the ER. Can you imagine? You've got an emergency situation and you're asking what the heck is your immigration status. Y'all, I'm just trying to cool down because this is what I get. This is what keeps me up at night. This is what I am passionate about. Because I know what it feels like. I know the sleepless nights. I know the anxiety you've got through, and you've got a citizen child, because then there's almost 6 years between my kids, and you have this baby and you're looking at it like, okay, this kid, you want this kid to have a better life. You know, I'm a professional, their father is a professional, but, you know, things are a lot easier for us because he's a physician, I'm a lawyer. We can, you know, it's a lot easier for us here. And that's why we left, you know, big city, Chicago. You know, I grew up on the Victoria line, city girl. Lived in Boston, lived in Chicago, and then I came to rural health. A town of 5,000 people is where we started from. But in the VI girl, why? Because we had to make that sacrifice for our kid. Yeah. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, a lot of people's visas were canceled. Yep. I have a question regarding 𝒊𝒑. My children and I have 𝒊𝒑 2023. We got approved a work permit and social security cards. Can we get deported if we're in the process? No, that's gonna. I mean, then there's going to be something like there has to be a state of emergency declared. No, I'm sure even whoever his advisors are, they wouldn't push it too far. But there's no telling. Can I travel for a foreign official assignment with H-1B? If it has to do with your job and your visa is still valid, I see no reason why, but I already say it. If you are not a client of mine, please make sure you talk to an attorney, sit down with them, let them evaluate your case, or talk to your lawyer. Anything that's got to do with travel, especially now. Okay, so can I try with advance for the same in response to that question? Pending case to yours, yes. There's nothing they can do about that. Love your hair, thank you. I'm feeling way knock on wood. I'm telling you, I went for my post-op, my third post-op appointment yesterday, and they're like, if you keep going, just call us. So a month, call us if you need to come in. Because they're like, my doctor already knows. I met the guy who wasn't know that. He already knows me by now. Like, I don't listen to nothing. But I had to, 2 weeks ago, I almost pulled on my incision. It was red, so I had to sit my butt down. But knock on wood, doing much better. Doing very much better. So, yeah, I just have to keep my feet elevated still for the next 4 weeks. Thank you. I'm coming to the health issue. Financially, I'm good. I am. Trolls will be raptured in the words of I-45 denied. I filed a motion to reconsider. Still, I can't stay legally here. If you've got a pending I-290B, the I-45 authorizes to stay because that's a pending adjustment. When it comes to 290B for 751, it does. I'm not really clear, to be honest with you, on whether the 290B for a denied 45 does, because it's not a reopened case yet. So, yeah, that's something you may want to really actually have that evaluated or ask your attorney, which hopefully you have one. Okay, let's see. Today we will not listen, we will judge. Okay. When appointment is scheduled, is the person able to speak to you directly? I do my consults. We tried with another attorney, but nobody was in your case. So I do my consult. Yes, just to answer your question. Okay. Let's see. TikTok, I'll get to. Just give me 1 second. Will early case of asylum be accepted or affected? I'm not sure, Miss Lucy, what you mean by early case of asylum. But if you've got a pending asylum application, you're authorized to stay in the country. I'm not sure if that answers your question. Exactly. Keep heart warriors. Face, yeah. Anything about travel, please direct that question to your attorney or set up a consultation to actually have your case evaluated, especially now, please. Let's see. Hello, Miss Nilechi. Yeah, AJ, that's good. That's even worse because that's how someone was arguing with me that, not arguing, but they were like, well, I did it the legal way, so why can't everybody do it? And I emailed her like, you did it the legal. What was the legal way you did it? He said, well, I had an employer sponsor me, and I never went out of status. Okay, thank you. Stay on your high horse. Good for you. But a lot of people are fleeing things from their home country that you have no clue about. A lot of people were in relationships that someone was going to file for them and never did. A lot of people were employed, and employers out of nowhere just terminated them and found themselves out of status. A lot of people are being victims of crimes and trying to figure out what the way forward is. So stay on your high horse because you did it the legal way, and so everybody else should do the legal way that you did. Yeah. So we're not trying to find fault about what people should do. We're trying to figure out how people can stay here and not deprive their children born here legally citizenship that has been for centuries. The Supreme Court has already decided on that, to settle that matter. Why start it again? But then again, you've got to give it to a man who said he was going to do something, and he's actually doing what he said. I don't know, maybe people thought he was joking. He said he was going to do it. He's doing it. Hey, Mr. Matt, you're welcome. No, we didn't miss him because he didn't bother about checking us. So no, we didn't miss you at all. This is going to come from me now. Okay, let's see. Hello, Miss Queen Khadija. How are you? God is still God. Yes. If a person files for VAWA, but now the U.S. spouse wants to file for them, what should they do? If people can change, if there's any hope that a person has changed, you can. I just usually don't advise my clients to go back to an I-130. If you're starting out on a VAWA case and things change, okay, because that's shorter. But if you've been on VAWA for like 2 years and they now want to file for you, no, you wait out the rest of the time and just be in control of your own immigration process. Applied VAWA with a pro bono lawyer wanting to use a possible. I don't take on cases until I've reviewed your file, either through a FOIA request or if you have a copy of your file, which is a separate service on its own. I do that first before I decide if it's a case I'm going to take. Okay. All right. Yeah. First day in office, he said this is what he was going to do on the first day of office. Listen, cannot fault a man who does what he says he's going to do. If God sends me somebody who can deal with me, not someone like him, what I mean is a man who actually says what he's going to do. That is not a mama's boy. Because someone like it, so she's like, I remarry. I will remarry if I say this, people are going to judge. We listen and we don't judge. If both parents are not living, we'll just go see them in the cemetery, or at least one. You can't have more than one parent that's alive. We listen, we don't judge, because y'all know Niger parents have issues. That's one of the reasons I got divorced. The in-law drama was just too much. I was like, are you a little? So, just saying. So God decides, if it's a Niger man, then that's the condition. If you've got both parents alive, miss me. We listen, we don't judge. Miss me with that one. Just keep it moving. If you're moving like this, I said what I said. You don't like it. Mm-mm. All right, let's go on TikTok. I try to get back on YouTube again. Let's see. Let's see if your person doesn't have a W-2 form to adjust status. Okay, let's see. The live is glitching. I don't know. I mean, I don't do tech stuff. I'm hoping it's not glitchy anymore, but I click on it, get on it. It's not glitchy on my end. I don't know. That's how I get on. And it could be internet connection. My Wi-Fi is really good. I got to fix internet connection. I've got Xfinity, the fastest they have. So I don't know. Maybe it's on your end. Listen, y'all just leave me alone because tonight I've been reading executive orders the whole day. And so, yeah. If my partner has an order of deportation, is it too late to marry? Why didn't you marry since? Because you could. Now, another thing is that we are seeing, I still got one. Some of my colleagues are saying PD request is gone. I still got one PD grant today, which we're just going to wait and see. But it's not too late to marry. You are still able to file an I-130 for your partner. The question is, will you still be able to get an I-130 approved? And if approved, what are the chances of having a motion to reopen granted and then having the order of removal terminated? You're just going to have to go through that and see if you're to do that. If PD request, PD request goes, then you're going to have to file a motion with the court. But you only can do that in that situation if you've got an I-130 that's been approved. So it's not like you cannot marry and file for them. It's just it's probably going to take a much longer time. Yeah. So children from student visa would have no. If you are, so the executive order says that basically, in a nutshell, at least one parent must be a green card holder or a citizen. At least one parent has to be. So if you're the mother of the child, even if it's the mother and has a child here, and the mother is on a temporary visa, and the father is also on a temporary visa, then the executive order is saying that child should not acquire birthright citizenship because someone on a temporary status is not subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. That's their argument. But people who are, so the only people they're saying are subject to jurisdiction of the United States are people who are residing in the United States permanently or citizens. Anything about advanced parole? That's not a question I'm going to answer. Please direct that question to your attorney, or set up a consultation to evaluate your history before you travel. I have been accused of an accident. I was the witness. I gave to court. I have to go to court now. I have that. So what's your question? What should I do? Consult with a criminal attorney and an immigration attorney. So I almost even forget God. So thank God, my client, God is good. On the very last business day of the Biden administration, Friday, January 17, 2025, my client was charged back in 2000. Actually, the case started in 2018, but I got on. We got to circuit court, which is a court in Alabama that has jurisdiction over felony, charged with drug trafficking of meth and trafficking of cocaine. He's a legal permanent resident with 4 children. He is the sole breadwinner of his household. His wife is a stay-at-home mom. He lives in the state of Texas. And I remember the very first day I met him. This guy was crying, a grown man crying, and he says, I know I did something I did wrong. I'm not going to deny it. I got with the wrong people, but if I'm deported out of this country, my children, all American citizens, will suffer. And I told him, I said, I can't promise you anything, but I can tell you that I'm going to do everything I can possibly do on your behalf. One of the very first things I told him, I was like, the one thing I wanted to know is I'm going to need you to do everything I tell you to do. I do immigration practice, but whenever I represent someone in a criminal offense case, I do not represent them in immigration. And if I'm representing immigration and you've got a charge against you, I always make sure I refer you to someone else. It's just a lot easier to have one attorney taking care of each. Immigration is what we call it, that do both, but it's just in the best interest of the client to separate them. So he got a separate immigration attorney. Obviously, there's nothing that was ongoing that I didn't know, but that helped me to focus on what I needed to do. When I tell you that I traveled all the way to Birmingham, Louisiana, everywhere. This man made, I don't even know how many trips he's made within the last 6 years. I wore down my district attorney and the assistant district attorney. I mean, we had, you already know how I am, feisty. They said something in court. One of the statements, I remember one of them said one time was, well, he should have thought about that and the fact that he's not a citizen before he made the decision. Ooh, those were fighting words. The judge had to say, Miss Olay, I'm going to hold you in contempt. And then last November, after he had done everything he was supposed to do, thank you. He had done everything he was supposed to do. They came back and like, okay, we're going to reconsider. Like, we're not going to reconsider. No. You're either going to dismiss this case, like we told you. This is what we've done. I got the agents that they claimed they couldn't get on the phone. I got them on a conference call. Okay, everybody's here. Now what? And finally, on January 17th, last day because this guy was looking at a conviction, and there's no waiver for drug trafficking. There's no waiver. You are going to be deported. End of story. No way around it. Both charges of trafficking dismissed. I've never heard a man squeal the way he did when I called him, because it lives in Texas, like I said. I mean, even I cried. So it's like, what? Yeah, that's what this is about. So people who come and tell us, but anyway, yeah. So in your case, make sure you've got a criminal attorney who's going to advise you separately, so you're not, there's no conflict. All right, let's see. Process of residency, she's nervous. If you've got a pending application with USCIS, there's no reason why there should be any worry, because that authorizes the person to stay. Now, an I-130 petition, a standalone petition, does not authorize you to stay. What authorizes someone with a pending application to stay is going to be a pending asylum application, a pending I-485 application. An I-130 by itself does not do anything for anyone, because an I-130, for instance, can be filed for someone who already has an order of deportation. That doesn't stop their order of deportation. But if you've got like a 42B application in court, that is the equivalent of a green card. So things that tend to allow you to adjust status, potentially have a status granted to you, is going to allow you to stay in the country. So if your mom has a pending I-485, then that authorizes her to stay in the country until the decision is made on the case. Okay, let's see. Can I get a visa if I'm falsely being sued? I have to go to court. Okay, it's the same person. If a case is pending, I have graduation coming up. Is it safe to anything about travel, please? Oh, I'm talking about travel beginning May, unless that date changes. If you're undocumented, please note that everybody by May 5th, I believe, has to be real ID compliant. Right now, most undocumented people they're not eligible to get real IDs. In order for you to fly domestically, the TS is going to require a real ID for you to be able to fly domestically. There's a lot of changes coming up this year, but we know God is still in control. Let's see. This is okay. Great. What if my husband had a work permit? So what's the question about that, about work permit? Work permit doesn't authorize you to stay in the country, but there has to be a basis by which the work permit was filed. For instance, a C9 is filed based on an I-485. So what is the basis of it? So a C8 is based on a pending asylum application. I keep seeing on my case status on VAL that notice return because USPS couldn't deliver. So what's your question? I'm trying to, oh, we're 9:30. I think what we're going to do is expired green card. Just trying to scan through what I can answer real quick. Would you advise a person to apply for asylum now if they came on a J1 visa about 7 months ago? You have a year from the time of entry to apply for asylum if you've got fear of persecution. If you are being here for more than a year, unless you've got to have exemptions or changes in personal circumstances, extraordinary circumstances, changes in country conditions for you to apply outside of when you started your period. So if you're unsure, then you want to speak to the lawyer. If I stop sneeze, it's safe to say that I have TPS. It is. Okay. Withholding, that's what I said earlier on. If you have withholding of removal, that I don't anticipate that's going to be a group of people that would be, because that's the whole point. That's the whole point of a withholding removal until they're able to deport you, quote unquote, to a country that has to accept you. You can't take it to your home country. Can I renew my child's U.S. passport? There's no reason why you shouldn't. Keep in mind, this so-called executive order does not become effective until February 19. I'm very, very hopeful that there will be an injunction to even stop that from going into effect. Asylum is approved and filed an application for green card. Will it be safe? Absolutely. First of all, asylum approved and you've been given asylee status. You're not even required. If you don't feel like becoming a green card holder, you don't have to, because asylee status is a legal status in the United States. Should people on F1 student visa be scared under Trump admin? No, there's no reason why anyone should be scared, because God hasn't given us a spirit of fear. He hasn't given a spirit of fear, of power, love, and a sound mind. There's nothing that's going to happen in the next 4 years that God has not already seen. And there's nothing that's going to happen in the next 4 years that is going to disrupt his plans for our lives. So there's no reason for you to be afraid about anything. You have to be proactive. If you qualify for something, please file. Don't delay. Don't procrastinate. This is not a time to procrastinate. This is a time to take actions. But this is not a time to live in fear. Okay. All right. So I'm going to do, if Finance Shandy allows me to come on Thursday, I am going to come back and we will do, yeah. Tyrone, I love that statement. The real light is a toss. So once the planes are half empty, they will they rescind the law and delayed to another date, I'm pretty sure. It's amazing how they think this country can actually thrive without immigrants. You know, immigrants account for billions of tax dollars each year, documented and undocumented. I know what, Uncle Sam, I don't know if there's a year, the past 5 years, where I haven't paid penalty because they said I didn't pay enough taxes. I'm like, I can learn now. I mean, going singly doing US because I don't, I don't have any hobbies. My accountant says I have to look for something. I thank God my ex-husband pays my kids' tuition, so he gets to claim all of that. It's a blessing for him and it's a blessing for me because my kids are taken care of. But the tax season is when I feel it because of tax like a single person. That's what it is. But that's what we're seeing. Exactly. It's ridiculous. It's like, okay, now do I have to really force myself to go marry or something because I want to? But billions of dollars in taxes each year. So we're not going to live in fear. We're going to, as information comes, we'll try to update you, not update so you can be afraid, update so you can take decisions and take steps. It makes no sense for anyone who is eligible to apply for any immigration benefits at this time to procrastinate and postpone that. Please be proactive and file for applications that you qualify for. If you're not sure whether you are eligible for any immigration benefit, consult with an immigration attorney and just make sure and please, if you're Watch your circle. Not everybody in your circle is rooting for you. Be careful who you share your information with. Careful who you share your information with. And remember, ICE does not have a right to break down your door. That you have a right to ask them for a warrant, to show you your warrant with your name on it. They can't just come and say, you just want to have a word with you. No, tell them to come back another day. Obviously, you're going to have to come out of your house one day, and that's why it is important to know what you qualify for, so you can actually yeah. But anyway, let's try to do so. If I didn't get to your questions, yeah, exactly, Mr. Lechi, please, let's do it on Thursday. I know, if I came across angry tonight, I apologize. I get very, very heated when I'm passionate about things, and this is just one thing in my life when it comes to immigration and advocacy that I do not joke about. But in all, we're not going to live in fear. We're going to trust that the God who has started the work in us and has brought us to this foreign land, he's not going to let us be put to shame and be transferred back to our home countries in shame. No, because this year we've already decreed and declared that it's our turn for breakthroughs. And in the middle of adversity, God would show himself true for us. So thank you, everyone, for joining. I know there's a lot for us to still keep going. As things unfold, we'll talk about it. There's so many questions, so I will try to do questions. Thank you. I'll try to do questions on Thursday. I'll try to come on earlier as well, so we can get as many questions. But we've had quite a bit to catch up on and to explain, so you understand what this whole executive orders and what they're trying to do, so you are in the know, right? And so when you have information, you know what actions to take. I'll see you